A lot of gardeners think once they get their watermelons planted in the ground, the hard part is already over with. And some of them are beginning watermelon growers. But honestly, some of the biggest mistakes happen after planting. These mistakes could slow growth, it can stunt your vines, it can attract pests, and cost you some big watermelons later on in the season. And I don't want that for you, and I don't want that for me. So today, I'm going to show you the biggest mistakes growers make after planting and exactly what you should do instead. And if you're new to my channel, I want to let you know that you're in good hands. I know a lot about growing watermelons. I am the defending Watermelon Wars champion. And for my competitors, it's going to stay that way. All right, let's go. One of the biggest mistakes I see is overwatering. A lot of gardeners think that they have to water their watermelon plants every day, but the roots need oxygen just as much as they need water. So if the soil stays consistently saturated, the roots are going to struggle to breathe, and guess what? That is going to slow down the growth of the plant. Now, what I like to do, I like to water deep. And so once I water deep, then I'm going to let the top dry out. And one way to check, I put my finger into the soil. If that top couple inches is nice and boned, is nice and dry, then I'm going to water again. So that is what I look for. And you need to make sure that you know your soil type and you know the difference. I'm in a raised bed, so I know that I'm going to water a lot more than my in-ground watermelon that's over there. All right, so that should give you a tip in your mind if you are watering in-ground or if you're watering raised bed, because they're going to need it a lot more in the hot temperatures. But definitely do the finger check, and that should save you. The goal isn't muddy soil. The goal is consistently moist soil. If your plants are turning yellow or the growth slows down, then too much water could actually be the problem. The opposite mistake is underwatering. These young watermelon plants, they have small root systems, and if they dry out completely, then growth can slow down drastically, especially when temperatures start heating up. I want these young plants growing aggressively right now, so that means I'm going to give them consistent moisture while they are establishing themselves. Now, since we're talking about watering, let me show you what I'm going to be doing to make sure that they can get their consistent watering and to make sure that I don't have any mess ups when it comes to watering too much or too little. All right, so let's go. Now I water with a timer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some of these emitters, and I'm gonna go 1 foot apart down the line, adding emitters so that it can water the watermelons. And I'm going to go under the cloth as well, and that's going to keep the plant cool when it's warming up outside. For me, since I'm using the drip tape like I showed you, if I don't hurry up, then that is going to be a mistake for me, because it's going to be real hard to put that down when all the vines are going every which way. So I need to make sure that I hurry up. So if you were using drip tape, make sure you handle that before the vines start to spread and roam. I want to take a minute to talk about one of the greatest watermelon growing guys around. Whether you're a beginner or you're an advanced like me, there is something in here just for you. I go over some of the most common issues watermelon growers face, like how to deal with the squash bug, if you have cracked melons, or if you have only male flowers, and much more. Everything is in here. And I talk about how to grow large watermelons, y'all. It is packed with a lot of information. If you would like to purchase this, I'll put the link in the description below, and you will have this forever. Even when I make upgrades, it'll be yours. All right, back to the video. Another huge problem is waiting until you see major problems before taking action. So I come out constantly to check my watermelon plants to look for bugs like aphids, squash bugs, because I want to make sure I take care of the situation when it's small, because small problems become larger problems. Now, one thing I do for the squash bugs, if I see the eggs on the underside, I will go ahead and remove them, either squash them with my hands, or I'll take tape and then get them off with that. And what I like to do is I have squash growing, and I put squash in different areas of my yard so that just in case the squash bug go to that, then I can go ahead and handle them over there instead of them getting on my plants. But I'm still hoping to get squash as well, and I'm about to plant some more squash, so that is going to help me out. But you can use decoys away from your prize watermelons. All right, so you should use that. But that's not the only problem that I do have. I do have an issue with voles. If you see my channel before, you know I have issues. I get nervous about it. So in my in-ground garden over there, where I have a lot more melons, I had to spray castor oil, and I like to use my peppermint in that mix as well, but I gotta find it. But so I sprayed the other day, making sure that I get that scent down to move the voles out of my area of that location. But the downside is you got to be on a constant schedule, and I'm not big on doing schedules, but if I want my watermelons over there, then I got to make sure I come out every 7 to 10 days, and hopefully that keeps them at bay. But these raised beds right here, they are saving me because I have not noticed any voles, because they are not good climbers from my research, and so they're not real good diggers. So this is real tall, like 10 inches, I believe. And so that helps me fight off the voles over here. But if I need to spray, I will. So I want to let you know that this video is being sponsored by Quictent. So if you're in need of a raised bed like this or the other raised beds, which are also from Quictent, I'll drop the link in the description. So if you're having vole issues, you may want to get you a raised bed like this. So I'm more comfortable, and I feel confident that I will be able to survive the voles, just like that winning championship bed over there from Quictent that got me that 69-pound watermelon. Right now, I'm not focusing on growing watermelons. I'm focusing on growing vines, and vines need leaves. Those leaves, they are the solar panels that power the plant. It is very important. The bigger and healthier these leaves become, the more energy this plant can produce later. This is why I focus on feeding for healthier green growth in the early stages, like right now, so that when those vines get big, that means I got a chance for big watermelons. The bigger and healthier those leaves become, the more energy this plant can produce later. So this is why I feed for healthier green growth right now in the earlier stages, because when I think about those healthy vines, that can mean big watermelons. All right, so if you look in close, you will see that I notice I have a small issue, and that is some of these leaves are turning yellow. All right, so that's what triggered me to say, hey, I need to go ahead and feed for some nitrogen. So I need to make sure I get my nitrogen at the early stages. So I'm using fish fertilizer from Neptune's Harvest. I already mixed it up. So I'm going to go ahead and feed this plant. And so hopefully that is the issue that I'm having right now. But that's why you want to come out and inspect your plant, so that you can find out these issues early, like we talked about. Now, I don't have that issue with the other watermelon plants, but I will definitely keep coming out and check them, and I'm gonna go ahead and give them some nitrogen just to make sure they don't start turning yellow, because we can't have that. By the way, if you would like that fertilizer, I'll put a link in the description, and it already has my discount tied to it. So when you check out, and it'll automatically come off. All right, now for the next mistake is leaving your soil exposed. Now, if you saw the other two raised beds from Quictent, you already can tell that I had my soil already covered. Now this helps out greatly because it regulates the temperatures. So when you have the soil exposed like this, then they have temperature swings, and we want it to be nice and consistent. The other thing is, if you come on in close, you can see that the barren soil, it has all these weed seeds coming up. And so the other beds, you didn't see any weed seeds. So that will be great to have, because if you have all these weeds that I got to take out, then you are going to have your plant fighting for the nutrients, because you know the weeds are going to try to take all the nutrients from the plant. And over in my garden, we can't have that, because I got to win that championship. I got to keep my championship. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm going to add my mulch around. And a lot of people ask me what type of mulch that I use. I use, you know, I got a wood chip garden. I have used that in the past, but I like to use these shredded leaves. And so that's what I'm going to use. And I also have some of the straw, which I'm gonna talk about in a second. So let me go ahead and finish this up, and I'll get back with you and we can talk about it. Now, I just got finished mulching my bed, so it's just like the other ones over here. That is critical, I believe, especially if you're in a raised bed, because you want to retain that moisture. You want to make sure that the temperatures stay consistent, and I don't want to stress my plant, so that's why I'm doing it. I even do that for my in-ground garden over there too. I bring the mulch around. It's a win-win all the way around, and when it breaks down, it's getting more nutrients. Now, since we're on the topic of mulch, now I take the time and mulch my whole area over here so that I don't have to deal with any weeds or anything like that. So I have black fabric that I put down, and I have the pine straw that I put over top so that the plants can grab to and they can hold on and don't get blown over in the wind. I think it works real good for them, but I have the wrong type of black fabric down. And so I went and I purchased Vivor. I think, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I've heard great things, and I know some growers that use them, and they have big watermelons as well. So I got to switch it out, because when it rains, the rain doesn't go through to the soil, and I still want to maintain healthy soil. So that's a mistake that I've made, but I'm going to fix that. But once again, I got to hurry up and take all of this black plastic off so that I can put the fabric that I already purchased. So I am working against the clock. This might be the easiest mistake to avoid, and that is not checking on your plants. Now, every day I come out to walk the garden a couple minutes. I check under the leaves, I check for insects, I check for new growth, and I also check for the soil moisture. And just think about it. Those few minutes can save me hours of problems down the line. Let me show you one problem that I did find, but it's already fixed. Now you see I got my shade cloth already out, and I normally don't have to bring it out this early, but I noticed up underneath my in-ground watermelon plant, it was starting to burn from the sun. So I had to put the shade cloth out. So now I think it is doing much better. I can go ahead and take it off. So I would have known that if I didn't come out to check my plant. If you can avoid these mistakes after planting your watermelons, you will be putting yourself in a much better position to grow healthier vines and harvest larger watermelons later in the growing season. But if you need more guidance, don't forget my watermelon growing guide is in the description. It can help you out the entire growing season. One more thing, if you're in watermelon wars, just know the crown stays in South Carolina. King Bear has spoken. See you in the next video.